All right, future charter holders, let's dive right in. We're about to tackle one of the absolute biggest, most tested, and frankly easiest to violate, Standard IC, misrepresentation. My only goal today is to get you completely prepared, not just to ace this on the May 2026 exam, but to build a career that lasts.
Look at this quote. Really let it sink in. Everything, and I mean everything, we're going to talk about today comes back to this one simple truth. This isn't just some nice-sounding rule. It is the absolute bedrock of our entire industry. Because without trust, you have no clients. And without clients, well, you don't have a profession. It's that simple.
So here's our roadmap for mastering this standard. Think of these as 6 core pillars we're going to build. We're going to walk through the minefield of misrepresentation step by step, so you can spot every single potential trap from a mile away.
First things first, let's talk about the why. Why is this standard so critical? Because a single misleading statement doesn't just hurt one investor. Oh no, it's so much bigger than that. It chips away at the public's trust in all of us, and it puts the very integrity of our capital markets at risk. The stakes are huge.
Okay, now it's time to get technical. We have to break down the exact language of the standard. This is the bedrock knowledge, the stuff the exam is absolutely going to test you on. Let's pull this apart. The standard says you must not knowingly make any misrepresentations. Now that word knowingly is the absolute heart of this whole thing. And trust me, it's way more complex than it looks. Let's really unpack what it means.
And check out how broad this definition is. It's designed to cover 2 major things. 1, an outright lie. That's the untrue statement part. But 2, and this is the more subtle trap, it covers leaving something important out, an omission of a fact. So, if it has even the potential to mislead someone, it counts as a misrepresentation.
This slide right here breaks down knowingly perfectly. On the one hand, you have the obvious case. You know you're lying. But it's that second column where people get into trouble. You are held responsible for what you should have known if you'd done your homework. So you can't just throw your hands up and claim ignorance. Simple logic. आप ये नहीं बोल सकते कि मुझे पता नहीं था. आपको पता होना चाहिए था. You are required to know.
So, where does this standard apply? The short answer? Absolutely everywhere. We're talking about things you say out loud, every written report, any advertising you do, your emails, your company's web pages, and yes, even mobile apps. If it's a professional communication, it's covered. Period. No exceptions.
Now, let me give you a huge warning. This is a massive red flag on the exam and in real life. You can never, ever guarantee a specific return on an investment that has risk. You just can't. Why? Simple logic hai yaar, future kisne dekha hai? The future is uncertain, risk is part of the game. Promising a certain outcome when you can't control it is a direct, serious violation.
Okay, pillar 3, let's talk about how you can lie with the truth, or at least with data. Numbers seem so objective, right? But they are one of the easiest ways to mislead people, especially when it comes to performance reporting and choosing benchmarks. You need to burn these into your memory because these are classic exam questions. You can't just pick a benchmark that makes you look good, it has to actually be comparable to your strategy. You have to report your results on the same basis as the benchmark. If you use something weird or non-standard, you better explain exactly why. And you absolutely have to talk to your clients about how benchmarks affect their fees. The rule is simple. Pick the most appropriate benchmark, not the most flattering one. Now this is a particularly nasty little trick called shopping for values. Imagine you've got an illiquid asset, you get a fair valuation for it, but you don't like the number. So you just go to another provider and another until you find one that gives you the high number you want. This is a huge breach of ethics. You're misleading your clients about what the asset is really worth, and you could end up overcharging them in fees based on that inflated number. Not good.
Let's move on to the modern-day battlefield for this standard, the digital world. We're talking about social media, and we're also talking about the subtle but very powerful sin of omission. Because sometimes the biggest lies are in what you don't say.
Let me be crystal clear about this. Social media might feel informal, it might feel anonymous, but it does not give you a free pass. The rules are exactly the same. If you knowingly misrepresent your qualifications, your services, your performance, anything, on any platform, it is a direct violation of the standard. And remember what we said about omissions? Here are some classic examples. Knowingly leaving key variables out of your financial model to get the result you want, that's a violation. Presenting your model's output as if it's a guaranteed fact instead of what it is, an expected result, that's a violation. And cherry picking, only showing a potential client your handful of best-performing accounts, that's a huge one. You're omitting the full picture, and that misrepresents your true skill as a manager.
Okay, our next pillar is all about plagiarism and attribution. This is a really big deal, especially for those of you who are just starting your careers. You have to be absolutely clear on who owns the work you're using.
The definition here leaves no room for doubt. If you use someone else's work, their words, their data, their ideas, and you don't give them proper credit, that's plagiarism. You are misrepresenting their work as your own. It is a serious, serious breach of our ethics. No excuses.
And here's another warning. These are not gray areas. These are black and white violations that show up on the exam all the time. You cannot just use a quote without citing it. You can't just say, leading analysts believe. You have to name them. Every single chart and graph needs a source. And don't even think about copying a proprietary model or algorithm from your firm. That's a clear line you do not cross. Now, let's clear up a really important point here. The work you do for your employer, the models you build, the research you write, it all belongs to the firm. So if a colleague leaves, you can absolutely keep using the models they built. That's fine. It's firm property. But here's what you can't do. You can't take a report they wrote last year, slap your name on it, and pass it off as your own current analysis. That's a misrepresentation of who wrote it and when. Okay, we've gone through all the pillars. We've seen all the traps. So let's bring it all home. What is the one single crucial idea you need to walk away with, both for the exam and for the rest of your career?
Here it is, the ultimate takeaway. Upholding this standard isn't something you just are, it's something you do. It's an active, ongoing process. It requires constant diligence, constant care, and taking personal responsibility for every piece of information you put out into the world. Integrity is a professional discipline you have to practice every single day.
And that brings us to this final question. I want you to really think about this, because this isn't just about an exam. It's about the kind of professional you are going to be. Your entire career, your reputation, it's all going to be built on trust. So what are you going to do every single day to earn it and to protect it?